everyone, and welcome back. Yes, like I said, I am bringing you conversations that are needed to be had. Today, I'm doing things a little bit different. I thought, it's fun. It's all fun and games, having conversations about dating, relationships with people that are currently going through it. But today, I want to bring the professionals so we can really talk to them about, what's really happening in this dating world. They can advise us and really give us the tips and maybe even questions to ask on the first date, so we can make sure we're sussing out the right man at the right time. So I've got some professionals here joining me on the stage, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves, starting to my right, and I want to get into the conversation because we have so much to talk about today. So please go and introduce yourself to the viewers.
Thank you so much for that, Percy. Hi, I'm Charlene, and I'm an early years marriage coach, and I just help people in those early years of marriage just to kind of navigate from single life into married life, really.
Nice, I like that. What were you and I?
I'm Danielle. I'm a psychotherapist in training. I'm also a mental health lead, and I founded a charity called Spark for women who have gone through sexual and emotional abuse. So yeah, that's what I'm doing currently.
That's very noble of you. I love that. I love that. We're gonna come to you, say over there.
I'm Joseph. I'm a relationship blogger. I'm not as amazing as these people here, so I'm just learning, taking it all in, but yeah, that's basically me, yeah.
Yeah, and I know these are our three professionals that I have on the stage, but I had to bring Adam on because me and Adam were something similar. And we're gonna go into more detail about it in the next episode, but today we want to sort of challenge our professionals here because we know you guys have got questions that you'd want to ask them. So Adam, just introduce yourself and we'll get into it, and we're going to make sure that we put these coaches and psychotherapists on the hot seat because we got things that we answered.
Yeah, so my name's Adam. I've been married and it ended, and I'm really passionate now about talking to young men about what it takes to be a good husband and preparing yourself for marriage.
See, I told you guys, I am bringing you the right people for the conversation. We're going to just get right into it, okay? I know you're an early marriage coach.
Early years, yeah.
Help me understand, when you say early years marriage, why are you needed? Like, why is that a necessity for people?
I think the necessity comes in the fact that people don't really understand that there is going to be a change from living as single people. And if you weren't living together and you start living together, you kind of, everything that happens becomes heightened. So any issues that you might have had before, they are extra issues at the time that you're married. And then it's just kind of navigating your way through all those life changes, because in those early years a lot of people bring in a family and they start having children, and that brings a whole level to your relationship, because being two people navigating through life and adding a child into it, if there was already any issues, those are going to be absolutely magnified. And then things like communication and money and career changes or sickness, or like last year we had the pandemic, people were not prepared for that. So you kind of like going along, if you're living paycheck to paycheck and someone loses their job or anything like that, then you find yourself in a situation where you're like, what do we do here? And then that's when you're kind of thinking, okay, I don't love this person anymore. It's not going to work. Let's call it quits. But I'm here to kind of help you not call it quits and kind of find healthier ways in which to build those bonds and just make a healthier environment for your marriage.
Oh, Adam, where was she when we needed her? I
was going to say the same thing.
Because we have that, you've been married before, I've been married before, right? And the early years. And the reason why I was like, explain that, because I believe I needed what you're talking about there. Maybe prior to my marriage, to be fair, I maybe would have saved me a lot of time. I would have never had to be married because I would have understood myself and what marriage is before I say I do. Yeah. Because I feel a lot of people are saying I do to something they don't know what they're saying I do to. Do you know what I'm saying?
Powerful.
And I don't know with what she's saying, what do you think? Like, is that something that we really need to push on? Like, from your perspective as a man who was married prior,
100%. And I think you're right. It should start beforehand as well. I think I had premarital counselling, so I've grown up in a pastor's family. My parents were counsellors, but I never went to them. Went to somebody different for counselling, and then went to another, like an engaged encounter, which is like the Church of England. They do like a weekend where you go away. So we did lots of premarital counselling. However, it wasn't focused on the stuff that's really important to marriage, I don't think anyway. And so we faced loads of challenges in advance of like getting married that we weren't aware of, because the counselling was focused on like your relationship in terms of do you get along, what do you like, that kind of stuff. But finances, who's going to pay what, how do you pay the bills? How do you manage money? How do you like your house to be? Like what, just simple things that are practical. So early years counselling is amazing. I think if I had somebody alongside us, if we had somebody alongside us in the beginning, it would have been perfect. And also as you go along the first couple of years, because any other kind of experience you have, you normally have somebody alongside to help. Apart from having a baby and getting married, the two biggest things, there's no one by yourself.
Damn, it's crazy.
Yeah, so it would have been amazing. Where were you?
That's what I'm saying.
In training, I'm here.
Next time we're
Yes, we definitely is. We're getting her to help us. So just on that, like the early marriage, like being part and parcel of that, is it something that you walk with them? Because I'm looking back, right, and I'm thinking there are days when leading up to my marriage, I was like, okay, I know like this is going to be my husband, but what does that really mean? I know I'm going to be his wife, but what does that really mean? Like what do I do differently? What do I keep the same? Like I think I struggled with that shift. And the reason I've got you here, because I think it plays a lot on your mental health as well. Especially the transition from when we're dating, we're in a relationship, and now we're married. Now you're trying to become somebody's wife, and you're trying to be, you know, like run a household. You're now somebody else, you're responsible to somebody else, and they're responsible to you as well. So it's like taking that on and really understanding, because coming from a Christian background, they don't do shacking up. So now you have to you now from not shacking up, you now have to take on this person into your house. Now you're living together, facing each other every day. Sometimes it's waking up, you don't even like him, because he's done something that annoyed you, but you don't know how to manage that. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's why I remember we were speaking on the phone. We were saying that a lot of marriages are not going past the 10-year mark anymore. It's really short-lived compared to our parents. When my parents have been married for 31 years, you know, up and down, sad and happy. I don't know who taught them, who was their marriage counselor, but I need to find them, because 31 years in marriage, and I couldn't even last a year.
A year? I'm sorry.
I said there was no judgment on the show. I know. No, honestly, we did literally, because we did 6 months. We lived together for about 6 months. And then after that, we lived separately, because we were in 2 different countries at the time, trying to figure out what this is. And then after that was it. So technically, we had 6 months of our marriage. That was it. But we lasted a year in regards to starting the separation process, and then people don't tell you marriage is marriage, right? If you're not prepared for it, when it comes to this whole divorce and separation, it is expensive, it is heartbreaking, it takes a toll on you, and this is why I believe we need to have these conversations to prepare them for what they're saying I do too. But anyways, jump in when you want to come in, because I can talk on this. It's because I'm passionate. You know, so coming onto the mental health side of things, like, it really takes a toll. I know you have got your own story before, you've been engaged before, right? Can you talk to me in regards to like the mental health aspect of the change, the transition, if you're not truly prepared for it?
Yeah, so for me, I was engaged when I was quite young, actually. I got engaged when I was about 23, I believe. And my mindset already wasn't in a good place, like, but I wasn't aware of it. I wasn't trying to intentionally work on it or trying to make myself a better person. It was just, oh, he's proposed, yes, let's do it, as people do. And so, yeah, when I got into it, it was very toxic. And then I kind of realized, actually, this isn't really what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so we ended it. But then after that, I decided that, you know, I need to work on myself. And that's kind of how I got into mental health. But it really does take a toll on you if, like, you as a person aren't okay in yourself and you're not working on your own mental state. There's no way you should be entering anything with another person. Do you know what I mean? Both people need to be about that, like intentional and, you know, sound-minded and all that kind of thing before you enter. So that coaching and everything is really important. So.
I love that. Oh, yeah, I love that. And the blogger.
Yeah.
See what we say here, when you find it online, you know where and whose page to look it on. You know, how we even came in college, because I was just reading your post. I think this is so necessary. You're such a young man, by the way, like, and you're very much in, like, when it comes to talk about relationships and the advice you're giving out, is actually very sound mind. I was like, how old is this guy? He must be like, you know, he's been through life. And when I heard your age, I was like, wait, why did you engage at such a young age? What are you searching for? Like, because you must be looking for that, I don't know what to call it, because I'm guessing the woman that you're gonna be with, she is blessed because you've already started doing the work from that age. And not many men do the work from that age. They wait to get to a certain age, okay, now I'm ready for a family, I'm just gonna get a family. And then now we suffer because we're having to, he's a project to us now. Do you know what I'm saying? So talk to me about your journey into becoming that blog and why you're doing it.
Do you know what's ironic? It's got nothing to do with relationships, and it's when I went to school in America, so I played basketball in America. And imagine going to school for 4 years and you didn't play. So I went to school for 4 years, I didn't play. I was on the second team for 2 years, got onto the first team, and then I was just like a bench warmer. And the whole time I was blaming everyone, saying, it's this guy's fault, it's this guy's fault. And then somewhere around that, I was starting to realize that I blame a lot of people for the things that went wrong. I could have left. So that's when I realized that, like, a lot of the time I blame people for the things that I know I can change. So that's when I started looking into myself, and then I started picking up classes in like philosophy, and then that kind of got me thinking internally about how I think, you know, what I blame other people for, what I allow my other friends to kind of take on, and then I was just like, I have a lot to speak about. I did creative writing too, so I just like, a lot of people ask me for advice about relationships. And it tends to be that when I listen to podcasts or when I listen to people that are actually professionals, they echo what I say, or I echo what they say because they're professionals. And yeah, I just literally thought that let me just put my piece out there. And if I come from like a blogging standpoint, then it's not like I'm trying to say, oh, I'm a professional. You know, I'm just putting my point of view out there. And if you agree with it, you agree with it. If you don't, you don't. But it was really stemmed from basketball and me taking that inwards look at myself and just trying to better myself. And then the relationship stuff just came after that.
Okay, that's interesting. And I applaud you because you're so young.
Yeah.
By the way. I don't know. How old were you when you went on one knee? You thought, yes, I found the one.
I proposed when I was 26.
20. That's a year from you.
Yeah.
That's literally a year
Don't
from
do it,
you.
bro. do it in the future. Don't do it 26 or 27. Don't do that.
Why do you say that though?
Because I think now I'm 37 now. So looking back at that period of my life, I wasn't prepared for who I was going to become. I didn't know my purpose. I wasn't sure about the direction my life was going in. So I was like, how can I ask somebody to come on a journey with me? And I don't know where I'm going myself yet. And so one of the first things I tell guys now, like literally, if you're going to get married, before you ask a woman to marry you, bear in mind that you're asking her to put her life potentially on hold to join you in your quest for the future, the vision you have for your marriage. So she could be doing whatever she wants, but when you get married, in the Christian faith, it's like you're the head of the house. So it's not to say that you don't get to have choices and you're not part of the decision, but God's holding me responsible as a man. So I must listen to him, hear his vision for our marriage, communicate that to you, get your buy-in so you can submit to the vision, and then we work together as a team to put that forward. But if you don't know what that is, what I'm asking you to do is, let's try and see what we can do with whatever we've got. And I don't think that's fair to do that. So at 26, I didn't know who I was. I had an idea who I was, but I genuinely now look back and remember that I was going through a bit of a phase in my life where I wanted to establish myself as a man. I was like, I want to be the man now. I lived at home with my parents up to that point, working and everything like that. But I thought, I want to be a man. I thought, what's going to make me into a man? Get married. And my wife had a child already as well. So she was about 5 at the time, I think. So I was taking on a stepchild. I was like, yeah, man, I'm a real man now. I've got a kid, wife, everything is, I'm lucky. So on my wedding day, I felt so validated. I'm a big man. Yeah. And then after that, I was like, hang on, like that's not the reason to get married. Because if I wasn't a man without them, I wasn't going to be a man with them afterwards.
Oh,
so
drop
it's like,
that.
It's I think it's like
so
a lot
true.
of men are looking for like an affirmation of their manhood or who they're going to be in life. And we try and find it in relationships with other people. But the reality is, it may fit the need for a temporary moment of time because you feel elevated by the marriage and the wedding and that kind of stuff. And then you're going to come home and realize, wow, I'm not ready for this, man. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So the reason why I said don't do it now at 26 because I didn't find out my purpose until I was like 30. And that was as a result of like...
I figured that out.
But the thing is, the killer thing is, like, it's... I think people put on this mountain of, like, you got to go to the Tibetan hills and sit with monks and find this esoteric thing that's like, yeah. But it's not that. It's like, literally, your purpose can be what you find joy in, when you find injustice or things that make you upset and you want to do something about it. That can be a purpose. It doesn't have to be this massive thing. But anyway, the point was that until you know that, how can you ask somebody to join you on a journey if you don't know where you're going? Yeah. So like, I always tell all the young guys I'm talking to, like, just to friends and guys who tell me they're going to get married, I'm like, bro, before you do that, because you're asking a woman to potentially put her life on hold for you, she's not going to have to stop everything, but she's having to buy into you. Have you bought into you yet? Do you know who you are? Do you know where you're going?
Sir.
Exactly.
Sir. Says repeat. What?
It's true.
It's important.
I love that. Do you know you? Have you even bought into you yet? First of all, do you like you? First of all,
Yeah,
that's
because you're trying to get me to come in like you, but do you even like yourself?
Yeah.
Where are you going? What direct? Listen. I told you guys I'm bringing you the best of the best.
Yeah. That is so good, because a lot of time people think that you need a spouse to complete you, but that's not the case. They're to complement you. You are a whole person. You know exactly where you're going, where you're headed, and the person that you're taking on the journey with you is just there to accompany you, to elevate you, to just make you a better person, in the sense that they know your vision, like you were saying. They're buying into your vision, and you both know where you're headed in that direction. And it's hard to know that if you don't know yourself. So it's just like taking a step back and really thinking about it. Because age, like you said, when you were 26, you hadn't got there yet. It doesn't necessarily mean that every 26-year-old hasn't gotten there.
Yeah.
So you can get there at a younger age, but you have to be really honest with yourself. Because a lot of the time we're like, oh, this is what I want in a man, this is what I want in a woman. But then what are you bringing to the table? What have you got that a man or a woman would want from you? And it's really hard to just like, okay, take a step back and really look at yourself, and you think, okay, but what am I giving? And you have to ask yourself, because it's in a date situation when someone says, what do you bring to the table? You have to ask yourself, what am I taking to the table? Which foot, what am I taking there?
I'm taking myself, okay? I'm coming as Percy.
But see, that's you've seen the social media recently
That's
that
what
was
I'm
saying
doing,
like
yes.
bring to the table. It's like
Yes.
you can't really. It's hard at the moment to even ask a woman what she's bringing to the table, because someone's like, hello. But we have, as guys, we actually have to answer the question. We have to say, you know, financials, our purpose and plan, what we've got for the future, where we're going to live, in terms of what do I want us to be as a couple. We've got to answer all those questions. Whereas at the moment, we're kind of, I don't know how you must be able to tell us, because you're the blogger guy, so you must know. How do you tell young men now, like, to have that conversation with a woman, to work out the equity we're both bringing to the relationship, to then put something together as a whole, rather than I'm the man, I'm going to do everything, and you can just hang on my arm, because that's not the woman that we've got anymore. Women now actually do know everything. But you still need to find out, innit?
I feel like I don't want to say it's cap, but like it's not real. Like, I've got a girlfriend now, and when I was in college, you know how university, that's what they call it. I did not have no money. I was living on noodles. I had the uni diet, you know.
Yeah.
But she was like a nurse. She had her money together.
Yeah.
So when I first met her, according to social media standards, she had like good car, good job. I walked back in my house. I was like to my boy, I'm boxing above my weight, you know. But she was actually there to help me out the whole way through. So I was like, social media is saying one thing, but there's actually women out here that are actually here to ride for you. But I think main thing as a guy, you just have to have a vision, and it has to look like it's gonna go somewhere, not just this kind of thing that's not making sense. But I think now, she's starting to see some of the fruits of her labor. Because like I got a job and everything, but I think that's the real thing, that sometimes women are willing to do more. It's just that a lot of women online make it seem like women are not going to do nothing.
Yeah.
And they're willing to do a lot, or not everything, but a lot. They're willing to help out a lot. And so I think that's the misconception that we need to kind of figure out, because online everyone's women saying, I won't buy anything. But when you meet them in real life, like if they really love you or they really care about you, they'll do anything for you. Like they'll help you out, and that should be reciprocated. I just think women want a fair exchange.
And I think we have enough great representation of great relationships, how to do it the right way. Because if you look at the shows that we're watching right now, listen, I don't even watch half of them.
Very toxic.
And they're giving us the wrong representation of what relationships are. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, for example, we've got like love and hip hop, whatever. If you're looking at that, it's just arguments after arguments, fights, cheating. There's so much, and that's being normalized. And when you look, for example, like we're looking at Love Island, that's like the greatest, biggest show to watch when it comes to people finding a mate, how to date, basically. Now, when we've got our young children looking at this, they're gonna think this is how you should date. You know, we go into this villa, not of course in that same setting, but this is the questions you should be asking. This is how a boy should look at you. This is how you should approach a guy. You need to show the body first, so you can like you first, and then when you get his attention, then you can sort of show them. So I think we've got the wrong representation of what love is, what relationships are, what marriage is. And I think we need more people that have, that's why I love, there's a page called Black Love on Instagram. I follow them because they are always pushing what good marriages look like, what working together looks like, what fighting for a family looks like, you know, what building an empire together looks like. Because I think that's lacking in our society, especially in the Black family. We're looking at every other person, and when a celebrity's relationship doesn't work out, oh my God, because that was your representation. That's why we feel like, oh, if they can't work out, then hey, if Beyonce and Jay-Z can have Jay-Z cheat on Beyonce, then who am I? Do you know what I'm saying? So we have women doubting themselves, like, do I then deserve a good man? Is it gonna treat me like, if Beyonce can't even get her man to stay faithful, what about me? And that it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way.
I really think that we should also normalize those conversations where, you know, if you are thinking about taking someone seriously, those conversations should be had. So what are your future plans? Like, both people should be able to ask that openly and freely in a relationship. Where are you heading financially? Where are you now financially? If you think somebody is doesn't have a plan or doesn't have a good plan, that's for you to now decide, do I want to go forward with this? But rather than it being, okay, I'm coming into this relationship, I don't know if she's going to be like leaning on me or am I leaning on her? Like, what's the situation here? Like, I think those conversations need to be just open, like, and it comes back to like also like your own like mental state again, like how are you moving in this relationship? Are you being intentional? Are you, you know, all those kind of things. So I think those conversations really need to be normalized. Like, it needs to happen.
I do like what you said when you said we need to normalize having conversations about money, conversations about, you know, like how do you want, what type of family do you want? Do you want kids? You know, I think they should be the forefront, because one thing that a lot of people are divorcing over is finances. Okay, we're coming into this marriage. Maybe you were a saver and somebody was a suspender. But because you never had that conversation prior to that, you don't know how to manage your money together. And then now you're in this situation where he wants to buy a 20,000 car or 20,000 watch because he feels like the money is there. You're like, but we need to build for the future. So this conversation, to have them in the marriage are now difficult because you never really learned how to have them before the marriage. And I think this is why I was saying that we need to have the conversation with the people that are there, teaching the people that are getting into marriage or counselling them or helping them along the way. How are you helping them? What conversation are you having with them? This is why I was even looking for marriage counsellors to be on the show. Unfortunately, I couldn't find one because I want to know, what are you talking? When I had my marriage counselling, I felt that it was very, like you say, it was very surfaced. It was very surfaced because the things that I was facing in the marriage, I'm like, whoa, I wasn't prepared for this. Do you know what I'm saying? What's this? I don't know. How do I deal with that? Do you know what I'm saying? And the marriages our parents had, like my parents have had, they got married before the social media age. They got married before you can be dating online. So it's a different kind of marriage. I can replicate that marriage into my marriage because it's so different. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that for me was, I learned that, okay, I need to learn how to do it the Percy way. But first I need to know Percy. But when I was in the marriage, I wish I get to know me and get to know him. But if in the marriage counselling, they had growed us, okay, marriage is the only constitution that gives you a certificate and says well done before you pass the test. Everything else, you must pass the test first. Before you get now, because we know this is how it's set up, then especially within the church, let's have something that is set up to make sure before they even say I do, we know they know what they're signing up to. Don't make me feel like, oh my God, and get excited for the wedding, which is a one-day event, but marriage is the lifetime. Do you know what I'm saying? So we are focusing on the wrong thing, and I don't know what you guys think of it, but what needs to be done differently now, especially within your profession? What are you going to be concentrating on to help them? I know they're already married when they come to you, but even sometimes some people that are not married, can they come to you?
Yes.
How are we going to help them?
The thing is with trying to like take a step back, is like what you're saying about the marriage. The wedding day, people spend £20,000. They make an investment, £50,000 for that one day. And then if you tell them that, oh, you need counselling for, I don't know, £50 an hour, they're like, what? They can't actually think, why am I investing in anything other than, but you were happy to invest in a wedding day. And the wedding day is not about you or your spouse, it's about everybody else. It's about what you're wearing, it's about, but you don't sit down and think about, okay, I'm now married to this person, to this, for instance, if I'm a woman, to this man, what does he expect from me? Because he might be thinking, oh, now that I've got a wife, I no longer need to cook, I no longer need to clean. But when you were dating, he was cooking and cleaning for himself. And you're thinking, well, what changed? Well, what changed? But then he's thinking, I've got a wife. That's what my mum used to get. So that's what I'm expecting. And then he's thinking, all right, when we have children, you're going to have to take off work. You absolutely love your job and have no intention of leaving your job, but you never had that conversation. Or things like, how often do we have sex? Because that's a really important thing, and people really fight over that. And people just kind of like, wow, you don't want to ask those questions because you don't want to come across too forward or too, but then those are really important questions that you need to know to make the decision, am I going to be part of this or not?
Whew.
It's a lot.
Child.
Taking it in.
Do you know what? Go on.
Like I say, it's funny because I think you mentioned it before. You said you were engaged and you broke it off, and like that's a massive thing, even culturally, to get to that point of being engaged, and everyone knows about it, and say I'm not going to go ahead of it. And I was thinking, because when I got engaged and stuff, I remember we had premarital counselling, but it was almost a given that we were going to get married. It was like, it doesn't matter what happens in the counselling.
You're going to.
Not that there's forcing us or anything like that, but it's like, you definitely get married, so we'll just get you there to the day. You'll be all right, kind of thing. And I think personally, I would, and you can give your advice on it in terms of the professional thing, but I would have counselling by myself before I got married, like to make sure what is wrong, not what's wrong with me, but what is wrong with me, like
100%.
what are the idiosyncrasies in Adam that make me the man I am today, that are going to turn this woman crazy with the proximity of being together every day versus seeing each other once every twice a week, kind of thing, talking on the phone, and like making sure I understand who I am and what my expectations are. And you said it about the expectations of like what my mom did. So now that's what a wife is in my head. The model of a wife is my mom. I've seen her for 43 years. Treat my dad like a king, for example. So like, don't all wives do this? Wait, I've got to cook dinner. You know, that's not me. You know that. So it's like, you have the conversation realistically, like, babe, what do you expect as a husband then? What do I expect? Okay, where do we meet then? Before we marry, so there's no pressure. It's like, just tell me what you want. And I can say, you know, I don't feel like the career I have, for example, can support both of us if you want to start working right now. So that then means then we have to plan to have a child. We can't just have a child. It doesn't mean you can't do what you want. It's just like, we discuss it. But it's like you have to have conversations in advance before there's any pressure, before there's a ring even, to say, is this the right thing for us to do right now? Because if I'd had that conversation when I got married, I wouldn't have got married. But like getting married was like church context again. You don't want to, what's the word? Don't want to burn. So better to, what would you say? Better to get married.
For the sex, basically.
Yeah, basically. So like, don't wait too long because you don't get tempted and that kind of stuff. Like, okay.
So it's better to get married and then you can do the do's. Then you can go home and make sure you breast that man.
The cool thing about it is when you're not communicating in a good relationship, you're not having sex anyway. So it's like, deal with the big things first. The sex is a byproduct of a successful relationship, of communication, of friendship. But we put focus on that, get married so you can just do the thing, especially in church anyway. I don't know what it's like for everyone else. But like, it doesn't work. No, it doesn't. So it's like, deal with yourself first. Who am I? Like, what do I want from a marriage? What would I expect from a wife or from a husband? Sit down and find somebody who's matching, at least in the key areas, what you're thinking.
And actually, that's true, because when I was, when I broke it off, obviously, it was coming from a selfish point. I'll be honest. Like, he's not right. He's doing this. He's this. But when I broke it off, and obviously after years of like working on myself, it was retrospectively, I can look back and be like, actually, I was in a really bad place mentally. I wasn't even ready for him as well. Like, I was blaming him, but actually I myself was just like not good. So actually, that working on yourself is so important before you even enter into anything. Like, besides the couples counselling, you yourself should really 100%. Figure out who you are and what makes you tick, why you act in certain ways. You know, everybody knows that they've got things that they're not perfect at. Why is it like that? And how is it going to be coming into another dynamic? So
I love that. Oh my God, you guys are incredible. We can go on and on and on and on. But there's so much to be said on this, but I'm going to have to bring you guys back. But before we go, people are dating right now because I'm really helping those that are dating or single. And I know you have been married for the, she's the longest one right now. She's going strong for us,
Stick with it.
Exactly. So everybody on the stage, please just think of like maybe a question or I don't know. I want to say a question that somebody should make sure they ask somebody when they're dating them to get to know if they're really serious or if they're just playing games. Because I feel that's something that especially women struggle with. About what do I ask him to know that he's serious? Or is it okay for me to ask this question? Will they find it like, oh, this is too early? Or, I mean, anything. Like, if from the men's perspective, like, what would you like, for women to start asking to show that they are serious about you as well? Because sometimes you might be dating and she might be great and you'll be like, but she's not really giving me that. So what type of questions should they feel comfortable asking on a date? And as you guys, what questions should women must ask before they even get into bed with that man, or before they even say I do to him? Anyone can go first.
I was going to say, like, always make plain your expectations of a person. So what are your expectations of me in this relationship? I just think it lays everything out on the table. Everyone's got expectations, whether they like to admit it or not. So laying out your expectations for me.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah. And I think just kind of piggybacking off that is, what are your intentions? Because we could have like different intentions with each other. Like, are we intending to get married? Are we intending to just live together? What are we intending to build? Are we intending to build anything? Or am I just like a temporary person in your life? What do you see our vision? What's our long-term goal together? And I know that a lot of the time when you're dating, that question is like a really loaded question for some people.
Yeah.
Like, excuse me,
But I'm
like, no, we can't go with the flow because I have an intention of something that I want to achieve. So I need to know whether you're the person that's going to take me there, or you're the person that I just need to be like, thank you for this evening and we'll keep it moving, because you don't want to go where I want to go. So just really understanding where their vision is. And I know it's hard. You're not going to get probably not the answer that you want. And if the person tells you exactly what they're like, oh, right now I'm just kind of seeing, take that for what it is. Because sometimes they're like, well, he said that, but everything else is good. No, you have to take it. You have to take the answer and believe it. Because people show you the true colours.
That's true.
Yeah, the flags, red flags are there. You're like, oh, is it
We
really
just covered
red?
them up.
Is it amber?
I think it says green. I think it says go. And then boom, you're in an accident. Whoa, I saw green beforehand. And for you?
I would say I kind of agree with what you're saying. But
Kinda.
no, I do, but I want to. I actually do, but I want to quote it with the fact that I think that, like, with the guys that I speak to, a question I ask them is like, do you see yourself introducing this woman to your parents? And when I ask them these kind of questions, there's very few girls that they will put into that kind of category. So it's like, a lot of guys will. I think it's a really bold question for a woman to say, am I the kind of guy you would introduce to your mom? But if a woman asks that question, I think a lot of guys would have to be honest with themselves and say, maybe you are, maybe you ain't. Some guys might lie, and that's why I say that the intention part is important, because a guy could lie just to kind of, like, so I'm kind of with both. Like, but that's a good question to ask, I think.
For yourself, Mr. Adam?
Mr. Adam. I agree. People say old now. Like, I know I'm the oldest one, but I mean, I think in terms of it, like, I would say being intentional with yourself first and foremost. So, like, what am I looking for? Because depending on what you're looking for, that's where you cast your hook. Like, you don't want to be, if you're looking for marriage, then just going out running trying to meet a guy on the street isn't probably the best way to go.
You're gonna find them there,
You know, so it's like be intentional. Like, and then also set the standard before you even talk to the guy. Like, here's my standards. Like, if he's not seriously thinking about being in a long-term relationship, then there's no point in me dating this guy. You know, if he's not somebody who, for example, quick example, like in terms of like your dating standards, like for me, Christian has to be a Christian, for example. So what are the standards that you need to have? So before you even get to that point, what are we?
Yeah.
It's like you get to that point and it's like, oh, but we don't have the same values, or we don't have this. So set your standard first. So I'd say that's more important than any question you can ask anybody else. Talk to yourself about what you want. Set the standard and don't compromise on those things. Compromise about the kind of film you watch or where you go to eat for dinner. Definitely, we don't compromise on your standards.
That's true.
That's
No,
true.
honestly, you guys have given some incredible advice. I will say that I think before you even start dating, because I think sometimes we date out of loneliness. We date because we want somebody. We date because we want to feel like we have somebody to show on social media. You know, because the age we live in now, people are showing off what they have. So sometimes the first guy to come along, and because it's just nice enough, I'm gonna have him and I'm gonna post because we look good together. I think take time to yourself, like you were saying. I totally agree with that. Heal from certain things that have cut you, things that you've gone through, and don't put your healing on somebody else. Like, oh, when he comes, he can help me, heal me. No, that's a job you need to do, and then talk to God about that. Figure out who you are, because I wish I'd known who Percy was, because I was trying to be a wife to somebody before I even knew how to be my own woman. Do you know? So before you even date, get to know yourself. Understand who you are. Understand what you like. Sometimes you might surprise yourself. Your type might not even be your man. Do you know what I'm saying? You might not even be your type's type, honestly. So you're blocking yourself from your blessing. But yeah, I hope you guys have taken something from this. Honestly, thank you guys for being on this panel. This has been so educational. I've learned so much. I now know that I need you for when I get married. So definitely your husband, we're gonna be having it. So make sure that we got the money to pay up. But this has been great. Thank you for watching, guys, and I can't wait for you to see our next episode and what we'll be talking about in there.